Man, is it a good time to be a Pokemon fan or what? The future looks really bright, and a big part of that is because of the Legends sub-series. But believe it or not, things didn't always look like this. To summarize recent history, the Nintendo Switch era has seen sales reach highs close to the original release of Red and Blue back on the Game Boy. With that though, money-hungry execs at the Pokemon Company placed crazy release schedules on Game Freak, the developers of mainline Pokemon games, so that they can have annual releases coinciding with the anime and merchandise. Pokemon on Switch may have seen some of the highest sales numbers in years, as well as record profits for the games being more expensive and frequent, but the quality was inconsistent at best, and everyone knows it. In a time when we needed it most, when Pokemon released 3 underwhelming releases back-to-back in the form of Let's Go Peevee, Sword and Shield, and BDSP, Pokemon did the unthinkable. Fans were crying for higher quality, for an evolution to the series that would lift it beyond a reskinned release of the same game over and over and over again for 2 decades. It was at that time that Game Freak answered our requests. That answer was Pokemon Legends Arceus. We'll never forget how the world had eyes on the first gameplay footage showing the trainer hiding in the grass instead of the Pokemon. How we saw her dodge roll when we witnessed her aim and throw a Pokeball in real time to catch Shinx. It's so simple, yet it was like a dream. Finally, a Pokemon game that gives us agency, new gameplay, mechanics never before seen in the series. Things only got better and better with subsequent trailers. We learned that the Pokemon actually attack you, the trainer, that we had our own health bar separate from our collected comrades, that we could ride on Pokemon through the land, sea, and air, that we could catch Pokemon while riding, well, at least at sea. There were huge mini-boss Pokemon in the overworld, as well as main bosses that we had to fight using both ourselves and our Pokemon. It was all so new, so fresh, so big. If you kept up during the hype cycle for this game, you know the morale for Pokemon fans was at an all-time high for the first time in a long time, and it was contagious. Pokemon Legends Arceus released to spectacular acclaim from fans. There were even more surprises to be found when we got our hands on it. Time travel, paradoxes, side quests that flesh out the lore in fun and creative ways, fetch quests for wisps, and even better, the unknown. We were all immersed and impressed. Finally, Game Freak had made a game that they can be proud of, and that we can be happy with. And it's within that I want to discuss the overall impact that the Legends subseries has on Pokemon, and where it fits in the grand scheme of Pokemon's plans and operations for the future. As you may know, Pokemon Legends Zeta was announced to be released in 2025. Yes, I know it's Zeta A, but oh my god, I hate saying that out loud, so I'm saying Zeta. This gave us our first year break from a mainline Pokemon release in like a decade, and also signifying that the Legends line of games was here to stay. Coinciding with this reveal, Game Freak has publicly announced and even completed several operational restructures to allow for higher quality development. I have several videos discussing these up on the channel, so I'll simply link you to them at the end of this video, rather than discussing them here. The point I'm currently getting at though, is that it's clear Legends is Game Freak's quality product. While new mainline releases like Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet are usually comprised of developers that have very little to no prior experience developing games, it seems Pokemon Legends is the sub-series where veteran developers can pitch in to craft something truly worthwhile for the player. This isn't to say other Pokemon games are bad per se, but the lack of polish is oh so noticeable, and no one can deny that. If we look to Pokemon Legends Arceus as an example, it's the only mainline Pokemon on Switch with snappy menus, fluid gameplay, seamless mechanics, and inventive fun. You see it, I see it, Game Freak sees it. But you know who else sees it? Nintendo. Let's point our eyes to that 2025 release date yet again for Legends Zeta, and also remind ourselves of the imminent Switch 2 release next year. Most of us already put 2 and 2 together. It's very likely that Pokemon Legends Zeta will be a Switch 2 launch title, and it's why we have not and will not see gameplay for quite some time, even though the game has probably already been in development for about a year or 2 at this point. It's why Nintendo said releasing on Nintendo Switch systems, plural, even though they've never used that pluralism for games when referring to different models of the Switch 1. It's also probably why this is a Pokemon Legends game. Why Legends? Why not Generation 10? Wouldn't that just sell more? Well, let's examine several factors. We know that Nintendo knows that Pokemon is a system seller and a moneymaker. That's already a match made in heaven for a launch title. We also know that Tears of the Kingdom didn't release that long ago, so unlike Switch 1, which had Breath of the Wild as a system seller on launch, Nintendo needs to look elsewhere since it will be quite some time before another flagship Zelda game is ready. And sorry, Metroid, but if Prime 1 being the launch title for GameCube is anything to go by, Prime 4 alone will not be enough to jumpstart a long life for a new system. That leaves us with Pokemon. If Nintendo wants to use Pokemon as a launch title for Switch 2, they also want it to be a game that fits their Nintendo seal of quality. Think about it. Imagine if Switch 1 released with Day 1 Scarlet and Violet. Oh boy, word of mouth would have gotten around about how poorly the game performs, and with no benchmark for games that actually do look and run well on the system, the console would quickly slow down its sales over accusations that it's just really crappy. Nintendo knows that. Nintendo wouldn't want that. So, making the Pokemon launch title for Switch 2 a Legends game, which has proven to be the more exciting, expansive, and polished line of mainline Pokemon in the past, then you get the best of both worlds, quality and sales. Now you might also be asking, can we really trust Game Freak to make it quality though? After all, we've only had one Legends game before. It might have just been a fluke that was good and well made. And to that I say, look around. Like I already mentioned earlier, Game Freak is taking many steps to fixing its quality issue, including hiring sprees, release schedule restructures, and research and development practices. Again, I'll be linking you to the video where I explain all this in a second, but we need to also remember that on top of all that, Game Freak got moved into the same building as Nintendo during development of Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now that they have Nintendo at their disposal for communication, help, and resources, that means they are very likely working very closely with Nintendo on Legend Zeta to get it prepared as a launch title for Switch 2. Do you see it now? Do you see why Legends is the best thing to happen to Pokemon since Go? It's the sub-series of mainline Pokemon that bridges quality and sales. It's the series that brings Game Freak and Nintendo together. It's the series that allows for veteran players to get genuinely excited about something new and interesting. It's the series that allows Pokemon to truly evolve. It is truly the formula for longevity of the Pokemon series. Alright, comment your thoughts below on it, if you agree or not, and please tell us why. In the meantime, here's a video where I break down all the steps Game Freak is taking to maintain quality control going forward. The link is right in front of you, and in the comments section. I've been johtojonny, and I'll catch you all there.